At 5 p.m. sharp East African time, we'll be having Manchester City, the perennial beaters in this league, taking on a Brighton side team that hasn't had the best of luck in the previous few games. But they'll be coming into this particular game with the positive news of a 4-year deal extension for Kaoru Mitoma, one of their biggest players. How do the Brighton fans receive this news?
Tony, I think any team to retain Mitoma must be very excited and happy. But to me, I see it as a business deal for Brighton. They know Mitoma will not be
there. It increases his value.
Yeah, and he won't be there for the next 3 years, even 1 year, I think so. But being able to keep your starters and people who actually are like the leaders of the team is something huge for the Brighton team, and I think it's massive for them.
Very, very big news, of course, for Brighton, but on the Manchester City side, they will be very, very happy with the return of Rodrigo in the midfield. They haven't had the best of luck without him. They've lost all 3 games that is missed. We talked about that in the previous games. How important is it to this Manchester City team? We thought it was Kevin De Bruyne perhaps that was gelling together. Maybe there was an invisible hand behind you.
And the invisible hand was Rodrigo, because we have seen all the 3 games, Newcastle, Wolves and Arsenal, they lost those games, and you can tell for sure that Rodri is the linchpin who tries to tick the entire Man City team. And
he gives them a lot of balance.
He gives them too much balance. And you started the conversation by saying the perennial winners, but without Rodri, we've seen that they are not perennial winners. So there is some dip in that Man City team. And even with Rodri in that team, I thought there was a dip from last season's squad of Man City. So I still feel this City team will fight to the end, but do they have it to
still to talk about Rodri's importance to the side? We looked at when Kevin De Bruyne has been missing in this side. Pep has been able to bring around Bernardo Silva to put Shantin, Julian Alvarez, and he played so well in the games with Rodri. He was creating for Haaland, he was scoring goals himself. We see now that when Rodri is out and Pep has had to bring back Bernardo Silva a bit back. We saw in the Arsenal game he brought Rico Lewis in the midfield, brought in Nunes at one point.
He tried Kovacic.
Then the output becomes limited, and it has also impacted Erling Haaland. He hasn't had the best of games in the last 3 or 4 games for this particular City side. Shall we also see him bouncing back with the return of Rodri?
I think he will bounce back because Rodri will release Alvarez, and if he can't release Alvarez, the likes of Bernardo Silva, then there will be chances for these players to create for Haaland, and maybe Haaland will be able to take them away. But I wanted to talk more about Rodri, Tony. We watched that interview, I think, of Zinchenko when he was asked to compare Partey and Rodri, and he said Partey was the better player because Rodri is tailor-made for Man City. And I think that suspension tells us the truth that Rodri outside Man City might not perform well.
Played well for Spain though.
Yeah, he played well for Spain. Spain almost plays the Pep Guardiola football. We all know they want to pass the ball. So it tells you that when Rodri is in that team, they're a different animal. And maybe they need him more than Kevin De Bruyne now.
Very interesting. It's something that perhaps might have opened even Pep's eyes. And he will be telling Rodri now, we cannot afford to get any more suspensions like this. You need to be more cautious. And we know he's a decent player. He's not a player who always gets needless yellow cards. He plays really well. So it will be very interesting. Of course, that return of Rodri will make sure that perhaps Man City gets this win against a Brighton side that, with all the poor form that they've been having and all the issues that they've been having at the back, still this is the City side that can pick something from them, especially at home. I've gone for City win 2-1.
I've gone for City win. They always try to concede. I don't know why City concedes, so I've gone for Brighton goal, but City win the 3-1 too.
I think I know why. Josco Gvardiol has not yet convinced me in the left back position, Timothy.
Man City this season is playing without a left back. I don't think Ake is a left back. I don't think Guardiola is a left back. They're just trying to shunt players there, but that's not their natural positions. They
will be punished. Very, very interesting. Of course, that game will be kicking off at 5 p.m. Manchester City taking on Brighton and Hove Albion at home. A battle between Pep and, of course, the Brighton manager Roberto De Zerbi, who has showed his credentials that he can be a very, very good manager in this league. So that's another feisty affair. Very, very super Saturday you cannot afford to miss. Even that one will be bringing you the big ones after this. Don't go anywhere.
Don't go.